Well, we at the top of another week and somebody need their ass beat. We gonna talk about it. So let's get it right, moving along and rolling, because you know we got to give you the Millennial Minute, because you don't be getting all the topics because y'all only do it one time a week. You only record one time a week, but that's cool though, because you know you're going to love it when you see it. But let's talk about the Millennial Minute. But before we do that, I have to talk about my show. And that is Euphoria. If you have not seen that show, maybe you don't have an HBO subscription. I advise you find somebody who does have an HBO subscription and they be having HBO Go. Don't be telling them I told you. And you can get that password and you can look at it on your phone or whatever. And I'm not saying HBO. I'm not trying to tell people to steal the thing. I mean, watch it with the person is what I'm saying. But it's a great show. As much stuff as I talk about Drake, he's the executive producer on that show, and it's an amazing show that has some really interesting topics. It is formulated around teenagers. However, with somebody that does suffer from anxiety and depression, this show has been able to showcase anxiety in the best way I've ever seen anyone be able to depict it. I don't suffer from substance abuse or anything like that, but I know people who do, and it also talks a lot about substance abuse. And because of that, they also do a great job of humanizing the substance user. So I think this show is amazing. I think you should watch it. It does go into some pretty heavy topics and about growing up today. So if you get a chance, it comes on Sundays at 10 p.m. on HBO. But with that being said, because I just had to say that, because I just seen the new episode. But with that being said, let me move right along into your Millennial Minute. So Trump is calling the squad racism. So in essence, is he saying reverse racism towards him? He's saying they're a racist group of people. Who would have thunk? So the heat wave is going to continue into next week. Be very safe out there. A woman did die in Maryland. They're saying that they believe that she passed away from heat exhaustion. She was hiking in DC. So watch the weather. Please do, East Coast. Until next week. The Lion King did big in the box office. I had told y'all that it was going to do big. It did big in the box office despite lackluster reviews. They had said, I don't know about this new remake, but I'm going to pay you anyway. Their Area 51 petition is still going strong. They want y'all to show me them aliens. Y'all can go, because I ain't going. If they are aliens, I don't want to see them. I seen, Independence Day. I don't need to see nothing else. The prosecutors will not be prosecuting A$AP Rocky. He will be going home after all. Chelsea Clinton is pregnant with her third baby, so Hillary Clinton getting another grandchild. And hopefully she'll stay home away from running for president. The House bill passed to raise the federal minimum wage from $7.50 to $15 over the next 5 years. Some people mad about it. Some people ain't. We gonna see what's gonna happen with that. Female Thor is coming. Nobody asked for it, but it's coming. So female Thor, yay. And she's gonna bring along a friend. The first LGBTQ superhero will be played by Tessa Thompson. We will see what's going to happen. Iran said that they arrested some CIA spies, so I don't know what's going to happen with that one. And then Trump is going to expand quick deportation anywhere in the U.S., which is absolutely ridiculous. But I got that Millennial Minute out. And we will going to move right on to the topics. So the topics we got, some of them heavy, some of them not heavy. So we going to move on today, and I'm going to try to make it as not heavy as I can, sort of like the Lion King, like I was talking about last time. So we're going to talk about it. Speaking of the Lion King, before I move on, because I already did a review. If you haven't gotten a chance to watch it, go watch the review. But what about the Lion King? There were some lovable, and don't get mad at me. Some people were getting mad at me. This is a 20-year-old movie, 20-some-year-old movie that has not, the story is the same. Mufasa still passes away. Like, I'm not giving away any shockers here. But I will say that there are some lovable characters that were in the first one that are not in the second one. So I get it and I understand. But like I said, the movie was good. It was good. And I still like the original better. But just that saying. Let's move it on. Let's get a little bit about Cardi B. Cardi B. So Cardi has been in trouble. She's gotten in trouble a little while. And she's back in the news. Why is Cardi in the news? So Cardi is in the news for being Cardi B. She's back in the news for talking about things that people probably would have expected somebody named Cardi to talk about. And it's kind of funny to me. She makes some points. Now, she did do like a rebuttal video that I ain't gonna lie to you. I found it more weird than the first one and more damning than the live she did in 2016. I said in 2009 or 2012. She probably was a kid. Like, I forgets that these people is a lot younger than me. You know what I mean? But she is back in trouble based on a live she did. So basically, in this live, and if you see my hand again, you know I be working. I'm a hard working woman. So let's give a little bit backstory. So Tasha K, who is a podcaster, she has a huge following, and I love Tasha K's podcast. I follow it all the time. Hey Tasha K, she's probably not watching this because I'm not big enough. But hey Tasha K, how you doing, girl? Watch her on Unwind with Tasha K. Wine Gang. I'm in there. And she released a video or a post, I think it may have been on Instagram, about a live that Cardi B did back in 2016. So on this live, Cardi B is Cardi, you know, she be talking about all the stuff she be talking about, right? And so she was talking about what she had to do to survive, and so she would sometimes, get men or drunk, and she would rob them or whatever. So she basically said that on the live, and she's now receiving some backlash. They even roped her into the Me Too movement for like 2 days. And so she came out with a rebuttal saying, hey, people saying that I didn't face enough backlash. I got a lot of backlash for 3 days, and that was torturous or whatever, and whatever. So she was talking about those things, and she kind of kept going back and forth, and she was talking about things that didn't really make sense. And I was like, okay, where are we going at with this, Cardi? Where's your publicist at? Where's Offset? Offset! Where is he at? Because we need somebody to come and get you, because this is not good. So she's 26. Before I move on, I do want to say she's 26 years old. So 3 years ago, she would have been 23 years old. So we do need to keep that in mind, that she's young and she should have the opportunity to grow and make mistakes and things like that. So she did also release a Instagram post, I got touch screen. And she released an Instagram post that says, so I'm seeing also, this is her words. So I'm seeing on social media that a live I did 3 years ago has popped back up. A live where I talked about things I had to do in my past or wrong that I felt I needed to do, and I'm paraphrasing it a little bit, to make a living. I never claimed to be perfect or come from perfect worlds. I have a past. I always speak my truth. I'm a part of hip-hop culture where you can talk about where you're from and things you've done wrong. There are rappers that glorify murder, violence, and drugs and robbing, crimes they feel they had to do to survive. I never glorified the things that I did. I never brought it up in my music because I'm not proud of it. And she says that that's the time when she had very limited options, and she was blessed to have been able to rise above that. So now that there are still some women that have not been able to do that. So whether or not they were poor choices at the time, I had to do it to survive. All the men she dated, and they were conscious, willing, and aware, whatever. Now, a couple things, Cardi. And I love Cardi. And I'll turn on Bodak Yellow, and you will see me turn into a hot dot dance pot, whatever. But I will say, you cannot rob someone if they're conscious and aware. If they're giving you the money and they were willing and aware, she says conscious, willing, and aware. If they're conscious, willing, and aware, you cannot rob someone who is conscious, willingly and aware of giving you money. Then that's just them giving you money. So apparently something about that last sentence is not accurate. But I understand what she's saying. So what she's saying is that she is in the rap culture. And this is another thing that I was talking. And if I'm not looking at y'all, forgive me, because I was kind of reading the thing, so I couldn't see the screen. But what I'm saying is she's in a culture where a lot of people do talk about rap and crime and drugs and prostitution and all of that type of stuff. Like we got a song called you got hoes in different area codes. We got pimping, big pimping. Come on, 187 on Undercover Cop. We got all kind of songs out there. And so I understand where she's coming from, because male rappers are not scrutinized in this way. Everybody just like, oh, that's cool, man. Oh, he said he gonna shoot him in the alley and he took his money and he had 20 keys and he flipped it and oh my God. And it's like hot bars. For her, it's not. Even though there have been some people that have incriminated themselves because of music. So I do want to make that clear. But I see what she's saying. And she's saying that she's grown from that. Now, Cardi. I think she's grown from the robbing part and the stripping parts and the not having options part. However, I think that there's still some shenanigans. Like, she's still got some legal stuff going on. So I think she still has some more growing to do, as do we all. But I wouldn't say necessarily that her music doesn't glorify it, because I'm not going to say that it necessarily does, but I don't really see her not talking about it, because some of her music, I could have sworn I heard some of those types of things. She has a whole song about money. So in talking about you got to do what you got to do and all that type of stuff. So I don't know if that makes sense. But I don't think she's been given the same opportunities as male rappers. Like, look at Jay-Z. He's a billionaire now. He's sitting with Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and all these other people. And we've forgiven his past indiscretions of being a drug dealer. And now he's off being a businessman. Why can't she have that same forgiveness? And it is because she's a woman. Like I said, the women are put in a different box and a standard, like I said in the last podcast, and you get mad because they fit in that box and they can't get out of it. And I'm like, you can't put somebody in a box and then get mad that you in a box. Like, because really, to be totally honest with you, if she was talking about going to school and higher education and women empowerment and everybody strong and love Jesus, you wouldn't listen to it. The only song we pumping in the club talking about Jesus is Jesus Walks in Stomp from Kirk Franklin. I think that played in the club, but the rest of maybe Mary, maybe all right, okay, I give up. But you see what I'm saying? You would not listen to it. And so we do need to understand that she's given us what we're asking for. And then we love the fact that she's open and honest. And then we get mad that she's open and honest. So she could have kept it to herself, and she didn't. So I think that Cardi, maybe this is a lesson learned. We're going to see her in Hustlers. Maybe she will talk about this and we'll get a better understanding of the situation because of the movie Hustlers. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it, because like I said, J-Lo in movies, not too, I don't know. But we'll see. And hopefully we'll learn a little bit more about it in this film. And I think that it's interesting that she is in this film. I don't know if that was a good option now, but we will see what happens with this film. But that's my opinion on it. I think that Cardi should be, if this is something that was done in her past, there were no charges brought forth for it. She never said that she raped anybody. I think she should be allowed to be given a pass as well, like we give all the other rappers. So, but if we're going to hold her accountable for things that she's said and talked about, we're going to have to hold everybody else accountable for things that they've talked and said. Like I said, Tekashi 6ix9ine is evidence for talking about stuff in his music, and it came back up. So if we going to do it, we going to have to start holding everybody accountable and not just the people we pick and choose. So that's my 2 cents. All right, let's move on to another topic that kind of got me perplexed, and I don't really understand what's going on and why is it happening. So Wyoming County in Pennsylvania sent out threatening letters. Again, you're going to see me not looking directly at you. Forgive me. But the Pennsylvania school district is in trouble because they sent, or at least under pressure, because they sent some threatening letters saying that they are going to be, it's Wyoming Valley West School District, they are going to be placing children in potential foster care because of an unpaid school debt of $20,000. So here's the letter of what they sent. So, and this was obtained by CBS Scranton affiliate WYOU. So parents were told to pay their balance And here's what was reported in the letter. Your child has been sent to school every day without money and without breakfast and or lunch. The letter is supposedly stated in that manner. This is a failure to provide your child with proper nutrition, and you can be sent to dependency court for neglecting your child's right to food. The letter also goes on to say, and of course this is paraphrasing it, the letter is going on to say that your child could be at risk for being placed in foster care if parents go to court. If asked, the parents to pay they ask the parent to pay the debt in order to avoid being reported to authorities. And the letter was signed by Joseph Muth, I think it is, who is the director of programs for Wyoming Valley West School. So, and school was not available for comment for CBS News. Now, this to me is a tragedy. And their youth services outright said you should not be weaponizing the foster care system. This is not how the foster care system works. It should not and cannot be used for you to get people to scare parents into getting back money for lunches unpaid. The $20,000 is a lot of money in unpaid food, but this has got to be going on for a while. So I know this is not the first school year that you noticed that people wasn't paying for lunches. And this tells me that as a community, we need to do better. We need to do better. We need to stand up and say, hey, I noticed that there's a lot. If you a lunch lady, if you a teacher, if you are somebody who works there, you needed to have stood up and say, hey, we have a lot of students who are not able to pay for lunch. We need to do something. And mind you, the school is going to qualify next year for Title I programming. I don't know if it's the same phrasing as it is in Maryland, but basically it's programming for schools who have a lower funding or like income level for parents and or households, and so the school gets money to be able to provide lunches and other programs directly to neighborhoods who need the money, who parents cannot afford to buy lunches. So they get free breakfast, they get free lunch, and they get other programs like summer programs and stuff like that will provide lunches and stuff. And so they're getting that now, but they didn't get it then. And so I know this has been happening for a while. And this is an absolute ridiculous tragedy. And the fact that the person at the top said, yeah, this is a good idea. Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm like, are y'all getting commission off of getting this money? Because to me, as soon as I saw it, as a person who was the head of that school district, I would have said, okay, we got to do something. We got $20,000 worth of unpaid school lunches. Something has got to be done. The letter that I would have sent would have been, okay, we are going to band together as a community. We have noticed an alarming trend that a lot of students do not have sufficient nutrients for school. And as a school board, we are looking in to see what we can do. Parents, we need your input of if there is something going on. Please contact the school and let us know if you are not able to provide your child lunch. Period. If it's end of story, because no one would willingly send their child to school without a meal if they could afford it. No one. And the foster care system is already overrun as it is. You do not want to take kids and put them in foster care for no reason. It is overwhelmingly African American. And so you're already taking lower income people and you're taking them away from their families. The only time that should happen is if the child is being injured and directly impacted by it. Physical abuse, mental abuse, things like that. If a parent is just struggling to make the ends meet, and they probably have full-time jobs, but sometimes if you living in a place where rent is high and you making $1,000 every 2 weeks and you got kids, it's hard to make ends meet and you don't qualify for the benefits. You just don't. So we need to do better to make sure that those kids get what they need, and we shouldn't be sending them away. And I've seen stories where people embarrass the children and stuff like that. That should not be. The children should be able to have a warm meal. This is tax money, tax dollars. So we need to stand up as a community and say, hey, I want my tax dollars to do this. I'm noticing that this is not happening. We should not be turning away children for food. We should not be sending parents threatening letters and taking kids out of the parents' household because they didn't pay $3 for a lunch at school. That should be the last thing that a parent should have to worry about. And it shouldn't be, okay, they get lunch over here and we don't. If you can afford to pay for your child's lunch, great. So for the ones that can't, we need to help provide them with lunches and in a way where they're not humiliated and embarrassed that they have to get these lunches, because it's not the children's fault They've done nothing wrong. So we should not be holding them accountable for this. And this should be a learning lessons for other school systems. This was stupid. It was idiotic. It was irresponsible. It was dumb. And the person that did it needs to step down and resign, because apparently they are inhumane. They have no humanity left in them whatsoever. And you need somebody in there that is going to care about the lives of the children, so that the children can grow up and have dreams and know that the limit is not the sky, and they can go past it and be able to get themselves out of the situation that their parents are in, so that the cycle doesn't continue. Let's not humiliate them so that they don't reach out for help when they need it, right? And that people who are already afraid of the system are not more afraid of the system. Let's do that. Let's try that first. Okay. Alright, so let's move on to the next topic. And I felt like I've said that a lot, but we're going to talk about degrees. So if you have a degree, you probably like me, you probably sitting there like, man, yeah, I got this degree. It's a real expensive piece of parchment paper on my wall. You know, and I'm not, and let me pump my brakes. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with school. School is great. I think that it depends. I have 3 degrees. I use one of them. And so I'm just saying that we need to do a better job of preparing people for the future. There was a survey that came out through Pay Scale, and it was published in SHRM, which is the Society of Human Resource Management. This study shows that there's a nice amount of people, and I'm going to pull that study up because I don't have it right now. And it's a nice amount of people that regret not the full education, but a piece of their education. And the study was it was a study that was done for 248 college graduates who had a bachelor's degree or higher. And in this study, which they found, and they looked at different information like salary, benefits, compensation, all of that. And so they found that two-thirds of graduates with a bachelor's degree regretted something about their education. 33.9% said, we don't have no regrets. We love it. We don't be having no regrets. Our career is amazing. 27.1% said they regretted taking out student loans. I agree. 12.2% said they regretted their area of study. Like, you know, they realized once they got out of school that maybe a degree in paper counting, and we ain't talking about money, wasn't the way to go. 11.2% said they regretted not networking enough, which I know I didn't. I know I knew some Bill Gates in my class that I didn't talk to, and I wish I would have. And I'm not even talking about dating. I'm just talking about just have a conversation, a heart to heart. 5.8% said they regretted the time that they spent to complete. I get that. You spent 17 years in school and you got a lot of debt. I get you. 5.2% they regretted being academically underachieving. So they graduated with a 1.9 or 1.99, and now, you know, they things not going so good. You know, when people ask me, can I see that GPA though? What that GPA look like? And then you have some people that regret the school they went to, 3.4%. And then a little teeny beeny piece said they got too many degrees and they regretted that. And I see, so here's the thing. We have so much student loan debt. I think they said the total student loan debt right now is $830 billion. Right? So the Federal Reserve shows that 44 million people collectively owe $1.5 trillion in student loan debt. So that's about 65% of this debt belongs to people who are under the age of 40. Now, a lot of people are asking, why are millennials still living at home with y'all mamas? What is going on? We don't have no money. Listen, well, technically I'm not in that group because I do own my house. But a lot of us don't have no money, you know, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And they said 7 out of 10 new college graduates owe on average $37,172. I went to a public university. Sorry. They owe a lot of money, right? And so that's where the regret is coming from. And I think that that was the biggest regret, that you've taken out all this money. It not only did you take out all the money to get a college education that we were told that you had to get in order to make any money. Now you're further in debt. You can't buy a house. You can't start a business, and you only make $35,000 to start, and the cost of living has gone up. So now you pay $3,000 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment. Like, what is going on? And then you wonder why people are regretting colleges. And it's, to me, I think that it's because of the lack of education we do in schools. Like, I know we give people a lot of hope. It's like hope. You're going to hope for the best, but we don't really prepare people for real life. And that's one of the reasons why I got a bone to pick with people that just tell people the roses, but they don't tell people the struggle. If you ask me about anything, I'm going to give you the struggle along with the real, and then end it with a little bit of pep talk. Like, hey, you can do it, but I just want you to know that it's not going to be a cakewalk. It might be. Some people do get a cakewalk. But for the most part, you're going to have to put in some work. It's going to be some days where you're going to have to take a job that is lower than you think. And then we also have us millennials and Generation Z. We get out of school and we think we're supposed to start the same day and be the CEO or COO of Google when we have zero knowledge or education about anything whatsoever. We shouldn't have to pay our dues because the one thing that I've always heard, we can convert a PDF. No, no. No, 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 sir or ma'am. No, sir or ma'am. Like, that's just not how that works. And so I think we do not prepare people. We'd say, oh, you got your high school diploma. You're going to go off and everybody's going to be knocking at your door and you're going to get this and whatever. And same thing with colleges, even higher. Oh, as soon as you step foot off this campus, everybody going to be knocking down your door. No, everybody not going to be knocking down your door because everybody got that same piece of paper you got now. That piece of paper don't mean anything without work behind it. So applied knowledge and application of knowledge are two different things. And you heard the other podcast that I made to Dear Generation Z, and I did write an article. You can look it up on LinkedIn. It is published on LinkedIn. It is not that simple. As soon as you step your pinky toe off that stage, once you flipped it to the side, ain't nobody knocking down your door unless your daddy is Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or some famous person, maybe the Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. Their kids don't have to do much. Like, people just gonna be running after them, but just because of their name. But for you, if you just, your mommy and daddy, your father name is Earl, your mama name is Pam, you gonna have to work, baby girl or boy. Like, it's not that simple. And I think we do not do a good enough job, and this is why they regret. You only regret when you don't know what you getting into. So I think with student loans, you have people that don't have a lot of money, and then you give them the money, and then you expect them to make good financial decisions. And then you're also 17 or 18 years old. I was 17 when I started school. You don't know the ramifications. Like, I got this tattoo when I was 18. It is something that I would not have done now, but at the time it's like, oh, that's a good idea because I'm gonna be cool and that's gonna be trending forever. It's not trending forever. And so you need to understand the rules behind it, right? And what's gonna happen. So I don't think we do a good enough job. That's the reason why people regret. We do need to do more career exploration. We need to have people understand what student loans and the finances behind it. I think that these should all be college, school, like programs in colleges. I think you should learn about your options. You should have to do research. You should have to do an internship. And you should be able to understand what you're getting into financially. Those are all things, and not just a click through, but things like that. You should understand that. So that is where the regret is coming from. We got to do a better job of preparing people, and we got to start training people. Not just expecting people to not come in the door making $12, but you want them to have a master's degree or PhD in law. Like, that just don't add up. Like, be willing to train people. Okay. Oh, I'm not going to do it. All right, the last topic we're going to talk about today is fetishism versus preference. And this came up because of the whole Chris Brown situation, and people were defending him, saying, hey, that's his preference. And Little Duval stepped into it, saying, we don't say nothing about women who don't, like short men. And then I mean, sidebar to a sidebar. I have huge clown feet. I'm not even gonna lift my feet up because I probably would knock over this computer. I'm gonna knock over this light and the table. That's how big my feet are. Like, I'm running with the big dogs, like Wendy Williams and, like Paris Hilton, who got real big feet. I'm running with them. I ain't quite at Wendy. I don't weigh a 12, but I got big feet, so I'm up there. But I can't date a guy that's foot is smaller than mine, which is hard to find sometimes. But I can't date a guy that's foot is smaller than mine. I can't. I just cannot, because it makes me feel like, you see your feet at the door. Like, I got the big clown shoes, and then he got the little princess in the pea, and then it's like, I don't know. I feel like I gotta protect him now. And if your feet are that smaller than mine, your hands are probably. I have giant hands. I can palm a basketball, and so I don't want this. Like, I'm holding your hand. I feel like I'm holding my son hand. And I'm like, no. So that's just a preference for me. But it's not that I can't date a guy that has feet that are smaller than mine. Trust me. That's all I used to find. Like, what size shoes you wear? 8? You wear 8? I wish I wore an 8. What size shoe do you wear? An 11? Like, I mean, it's just one of them things. But with a preference, let me give you the definition though, because y'all ain't gonna believe me. And I'm not talking about no weird fetishes like I only could date people if I could see their feet with peanut butter on them. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what is the actual definition of preference versus fetish. And like I said, I have a degree in psychology, so some of this stuff to me is something that I learned when I was in school. So, like, a preference is a technical term in psychology, and they use it quite often. Basically, in relation to choosing alternatives. So, basically, it's a greater liking for one's alternative over another one. So, you like this over that. In the dictionary online, basically, it says, as an example, he chose a clock in preference to a watch. But you see that it's a like thing, right? And it's usually not that the person can use the clock. They just prefer to have a watch, or vice versa. Now, what is a fetish, you might ask? So for me, I learned that it was like a form of sexual desire and gratification, because I didn't like human sexuality, which is gratification in link to an abnormal degree to a particular object, or like clothes or a body part, or etc. That's the stuff with the peanut butter in the feet, and the stuff that I was just talking about, the weird, not weird, I'm not gonna say weird, but you get a fixation on something, or an obsession, where you can only get gratification if you see that, or if that's happening. However, you can also say that it is an excessive and oh, sorry, my phone was ringing. I guess Chris Brown was calling me because I was talking about him. But anyway, so it's one of those things where it's not just about, so it's an excessive and irrational devotion or commitment to a particular thing, right? So in the dictionary online, again, it says he had a fetish, or writing more opinions each year than any other justice. I don't understand that portion of it. But anyway, I think I read it wrong. Okay. That didn't help at all. But what I'm saying is that when I hear people say, I can't date dark-skinned women, or I find all dark-skinned women unattractive, you gotta think, is this a fetish that you have for lighter people, or is this a preference? And when you're thinking about a preference just means you like something over the other. But it doesn't mean that you could not use it, or you would not do it, or you can't find any use in the other. And so that to me is problematic, and I think that you need to dig a little deeper to find out why, because the difference between fetishism and preference is the why behind it. So I like men that have larger feet, also like taller men, because they usually have larger feet. And I'm also tall too, and I'm a little bigger, so I don't want to, definitely if your feet are smaller than mine, then I'm bigger than you. Then I look like a grizzly, and it's not good, you know what I mean? Like, but I can date a shorter man. I mean, I can't because I'm married, but I could date a shorter man. or a man that has a smaller foot than mine, especially if he was a good dude. And I have found dudes attractive who are shorter and have smaller feet than mine. Everybody doesn't have, a man would have to wear a size 12 or no, size 9 in order to have a foot 10, size 10, sorry, to have a foot that's the same size as mine. So not all guys wear size 10. And so I could date a guy that has a foot that's smaller than mine. It's not that I wouldn't and I could not. It is, the issue is when you start saying I can't, all black women, all dark skinned women, all white men, like that's when you know that you're getting into a realm of fetishism, because there are attractive people in every group. Right? So there are attractive African American women, attractive Asian women, attractive white women. There's attractive everybody. There's no set of individual, and I do not want to hear this anymore. There's no group of people, and I've heard people say, oh, they're the most beautiful people in the world. No, there's the couple people that you've seen that were attractive to you. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Not everybody from that country is beautiful. Period. I don't care where it is. Everybody's not beautiful. There are going to be some people that you're like, woo. That's not how that works. When you start doing that, you're going more towards that unrealistic devotion to that idea, or it's starting to become unrealistic. It's becoming more excessive, obsessive type of behavior. And so I just think that nobody talks about that portion of it, but you have to start wondering and finding out why. Because usually there's a why behind it that you need to ask yourself. You don't have to tell nobody else, but just for you as a why, before you start spewing stuff in the world like all black women are this and all black men are this and all white women are this. Don't do that, because it's not even remotely true. So you just figure out the whys behind it. If it truly is that I just don't like that person, I'm just not attracted to that person. You're just not attracted to him. But it shouldn't be a blanket statement where it's like, everybody over there, everybody in the club getting tipsy, everybody over there is ugly because they all look like that. No, that's not good. I was like, that's not good. So just think about why, the whys behind it. Just saying. So this has been another episode of Millennials Anonymous. I'm glad. And if I scared you today, forgive me. I do not have on makeup. So if you do have small children, forgive me. But I want to let everybody know, so we will have that relationship panel that's coming up real soon. I'm still looking for people for Millennials class. So if you are interested in being a part of Millennial class, just let me know. Send a direct message, or you can send an email to the thing down below, and I'll put right here, any of those things on that screen, any of the things on the screen, you can send a message to and let me know. If you have a business and you want to be on the podcast, let me know. If you have something going on, let me know. If you have a story that you think I should cover, let me know. So those are just things. Just let me know. And we're going to have a really interesting show next week. So I'm happy about that. And then we also I'm going to be a part of another show. It's going to be Brunching with Digga and Lise. And it is going to be coming on Fridays at 11 a.m. Y'all, so it is going to be a hilarious, funny show. Digga is funny and he's amazing. So tune in, and we're going to be having rotating guests. It's going to be a fun time.